Good evening aspirants, welcome to Daily News Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 11th July 2024. Displayed here are the list of topics that we are going to discuss today. Now let us get into the discussion. Look at this article. We all know that the recent hooch tragedy in Kallakurichi of TN resulted into death of 66 people and triggered social and political tension in Tamil Nadu. In this scenario, let's understand what are the measures that we can take to prevent this kind of tragedy in future. The measure can be divided into two. First, the responsive measures. This is for preventing the intensity of such tragedies, and the next one is a long-term measure to address the issue with sustainable solutions. So in this analysis, we will discuss both the aspects from prelims and mains exam perspective. Firstly, we shall discuss the responsive measures, and this include the rapid deployment of health workers. Secondly, training for health workers and increasing the number of permanent health workers in hospitals. For now, most of the health workers are contract-based. The permanent workers will be more trained and skilled than the newly joined workers. Thirdly, the infrastructure facilities such as availability of ambulances, beds and medicines should be made, because even in this recent tragedy, the medicine to treat the affected people was not properly available. So these are some temporary measures that should be taken. Now we shall see the long-term measures that should be taken to address this issue sustainably. First, legislative action. Followed by the tragedy, the TN government amended the Liquor Prohibition Act 1937 to impose stricter punishment for brewing and selling of illegal substances, and also the reassessment and implementation of a report of Parthasarathi Committee of 1992. The second one is collaboration. For example, in many states, the excise is the only department responsible for checking the quality of alcohol, and this will be solved when there is collaboration between FSSAI and excise. Third, about the participation of communities. The proud example we have is the anti-Arak movement in Andhra Pradesh. This type of movement will have long-term impact on cultural development. Fourth one is about the focus on certain areas. This includes awareness programs in regions with socially and economically backward people, because these regions are more affected by alcohol consumption. So this is all about the article. Now let us move to the next topic. Look at this article. Today is World Population Day, and this article is talking about the population dynamics of India and its journey towards achieving sustainable development goals for 2030. With this, we will analyze the trends and data discussed in the article. Firstly, there are three major components of population: fertility, mortality, and migration. According to National Family Health Survey, the total fertility rate (TFR) means the average number of children per woman in lifetime. This has reduced from 3.4 to 2. This change in TFR shows a demographic shift towards aging population. The second one is about the people in hunger, reduced from 18.3% to 16.6% between 2001 and 2021. Along with this, the maternal mortality rate also reduced from 384 in 2000 to 102 in 2020. We have also made significant improvement in reducing infant mortality rate. It was 66.7 per thousand in 2000, but now it is reduced to 25.5 per thousand in 2021. Now let us see the important data mentioned in the article. India has made notable progress in social development, but several issues still need attention to achieve sustainable development goals by 2030. First one is equity. According to Oxfam report, the total 10% of population holds 77% of nation's wealth. This unequal distribution of wealth can hinder the India's progress towards SDG. Next, about hunger. Hunger reduced from 18.3% in 2001 to 16.6% in 2021. India ranks 111 out of 125 in Global Hunger Index. This questions the effectiveness of nutrition programs. Next, about gender equality. Women's participation in politics is improving with recent Women Reservation Bill, and many gender-related issues still need to be addressed. Next, about dependent population. By 2050, 19% of India's population will be elderly. The rising burden of communicable and non-communicable diseases like diabetes, BP and cardiac issues are increasing, and it became a concern. The initiatives like PM Jan Arogya Yojana focus on health issues for elderly people. In conclusion, while the significant progress has been made towards achieving sustainable development goals, addressing these critical areas is essential for India's progress towards SDG goals. So with this, let's conclude the discussion and move to the next topic. Look at this editorial article. India's population, which passed 1.4 billion in 2020, has both positives and negatives. On one hand, it brings challenges, but on the other hand, it offers a young force that can boost economic growth and innovation. As a most populous country, India's population growth presents a mix of progress and difficulties, balancing development with poverty and resource depletion. So this Hindu editorial article is written in this context only. With this backdrop, let us discuss a mains practice question. This topic comes under GS paper 2 and look at the mains question. Discuss the main demographic characteristics of India as revealed by Census 2011. How do they pose challenges and opportunities for economic development? This is a previous year question, so let us discuss this. Here the keyword is discuss, so we have to address both the opportunities and challenges of population growth. In the introduction, we can give a brief picture of census. The census of 2011 provides detailed insights into demographic characteristics of nation which have significant implications for economic development. While the large and growing population poses significant demands on resources and infrastructure, it also presents potential for demographic dividend with a young and dynamic workforce that can drive nation's progress. Understanding these demographic traits is crucial for crafting policies that harness India's potential while addressing its challenges. In this way, we can give a simple introduction. Now moving on to see the body part of the answer. Here we have to discuss the main demographic characteristics first. Firstly, about population size and growth rate. India's population in 2011 was 1.21 billion, which accounts for 17.5% of world's population. The population grew by 17.7% over the decade from 2001 to 2011, which is a decline from 21.5% growth rate of previous decade. Now if we look at the age structure, approximately 41% of population was below 20 years of age and 29% of population was between 20 to 39 years. The median age was 24.9 years. If we look at the sex ratio, there are 940 females per 1000 males, which is a slight improvement from 933 in 2001. With respect to child sex ratio, 919 girls per 1000 boys in 0 to 6 years of age group, which is a decrease from 927 in 2001. So this highlights the ongoing gender bias. Next, about the urbanization. 31.16% of population lived in urban areas, which is an increase from 27.81% in 2011. The urban growth rate was 2.76% per annum. Now look at the literacy rate. The literacy rate was 74.04%, with male literacy at 82.14% and female literacy at 65.46%. The gender gap in literacy decreased from 21.59% in 2001 to 16.68% in 2011. Now in the second part of the answer, we have to address the opportunities and challenges with this demographic growth. Firstly, let us see the challenges. The first challenge is about employment and skill development. According to Periodic Labour Force Survey 2018, the unemployment rate for youth was 17.8%. There is a considerable gap between skills possessed by workforce and those required by industry. The India Skills Report of 2019 highlighted that only 47% of Indian graduates are employable. Next, about the gender disparity. The lower sex ratio and gender disparities in education and employment reduce women's participation in labor force. As per Periodic Labour Force Survey, the female labor force participation was only 23.3%. Urbanization and infrastructure. This is also an important challenge. According to Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, about 65 million people lived in urban slums, and this is due to increased migration to urban areas, which leads to proliferation of slums and inadequate living conditions. Next, about the healthcare and education. A large population needs substantial investment in healthcare to improve their life expectancy and reduce mortality rates. The National Health Profile of 2019 highlighted that India's public expenditure on health was just 1.2% of its GDP. With respect to education, the Annual Status of Education Report 2018 indicated that only 50.3% of students in grade 5 could read a grade 2 level text. So these are the important challenges regarding population growth. Now let us see the opportunities. A significant proportion of population in the working age group, that is 15 to 59 years, can drive economic growth if harnessed effectively. The Economic Survey of 2020 emphasized leveraging the demographic dividend for growth. A youthful population is more likely to drive innovation and entrepreneurship, contributing to economic dynamism. Investment in education and vocational training can transform the large youth population into a skilled workforce. According to National Skill Development Corporation, there is a need to train 400 million people by 2022 to meet industry requirements. Now let us see the conclusion part. Census 2011 reveals significant demographic characteristics that present both challenges and opportunities for India's economic development. Addressing these challenges through strategic investments in education, healthcare, skill development and gender equality can enable India to harness its demographic dividend. So this is all about the discussion. Now let us move to the next topic. Look at this article. The state government and governor of West Bengal initially had a cordial relationship. The chief minister, Mamata Banerjee, accused the governor of ignoring a sexual harassment allegation against a contract employee in Rajbhavan. In the response, the governor filed a defamation case against the chief minister. So this is the ongoing crisis in West Bengal. In this context, let us discuss the area of conflict and related cases between governor and the state government. The first reason, assent and withhold of bill. See, there are conflicts between governors and state governments in India, and it is not uncommon and often stem from differences in political ideologies, administrative decisions and interpretations of constitutional rules. So understanding the constitutional provisions and recent cases can help in analyzing these conflicts. First, let us see the key constitutional provisions. First is Article 163. Council of Ministers can aid and advise the governor. So the governor acts on the advice of Council of Ministers except in the matters where his discretion is allowed. Next is Article 167. The Chief Minister is required to communicate all decisions of Council of Ministers to the governor and provide information on administration and submit proposals for legislation when asked. Then about Article 200. The governor can assent, withhold or reserve the bill for consideration of President. Next about Article 356. The governor reports to the President if the state government cannot be carried on in accordance with constitutional provisions, leading to potential imposition of President's rule. So the main areas of conflict are discretionary powers of governor. The governor sometimes act in their discretion, which can lead to conflicts with elected government. There can be disagreements over governor's role in appointing or dismissing ministers. Governors can also delay or withhold assent to state legislation, which can cause friction between state government and governor. Now let us see the related cases regarding this conflict. The most important case is Bommai vs. Union of India in 1994. The Supreme Court ruled that imposition of President rule is subject to judicial review, setting a precedent for assessing the governor's report. Then another important case is Quixote-Holohan case in 1992. In this case, the Supreme Court held that the governor's decision to dismiss the state assembly can be challenged in the court. So these are the important cases and articles regarding the conflict between governor and the state governments. With this, let us conclude this discussion and move to the next topic. Look at this article. This article talks about gig economy, and let us discuss about it for prelims exam. So what is gig economy? It refers to a labor market characterized by short-term contracts or freelance work as opposed to permanent jobs. It involves independent workers engaging in temporary flexible jobs, often facilitated by digital platforms such as ride-sharing, food delivery, freelance services. Now let us understand the challenges faced by gig workers. They often face instability with no guarantees of consistent income. According to survey by Economic Times, 70% of gig workers reported job insecurity. Most gig workers lack access to benefits like health insurance, retirement savings and paid leave. Niti Aayog report on India's booming gig and platform economy highlighted that 75% of gig workers did not have any social security coverage. The earnings can be unpredictable and often insufficient. Many such workers, especially in sectors like delivery and ride sharing, face health and safety risk without adequate protection or compensation. There is often a gap between skill and job requirement. The Niti Aayog report also noted that 68% of gig workers lacked access to training and upskilling opportunities. Now moving ahead, let us see some initiatives taken by government to promote gig economy in India. The Code on Social Security 2020 contains a separate section on gig economy and imposes obligation on gig employers to contribute to Social Security Fund to be handled by government-led board. The Code on Wages 2019 provides for universal minimum wage and floor wage across organized and unorganized sectors. The Rajasthan Assembly also passed a bill aimed at extending social security benefits to gig workers. So this is all regarding this discussion. Now we have come to the prelims practice question discussion. Look at the first question. Consider the following statements with respect to alcohol. The sale of intoxicating liquors is a state subject. Methanol is used in many alcoholic drinks such as beer, wine, etc. The correct answer is option A. Entry 8 in state list under 7th schedule of Indian Constitution talks about the power of state governments to legislate on production, manufacture, transport and sale of intoxicating liquors. The statement 2 is incorrect because it is ethanol which is found in most of the drinks and not methanol. Now look at another MCQ. Consider the following statements regarding gig economy. The gig jobs may require specialized skills or expertise. Gig workers include self-employed, freelancers, independent contributors and part-time workers. Which of the above statements are correct? The correct answer is option C. Both of the statements are correct. With this, let us conclude the discussion. If you like the video, please share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. Thank you.